In today's episode, we will be discussing about digital twins and resilience. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Next Gen Tech Talk, where we explore the minds of remarkable individuals who are shaping the future and making a difference in our world. This is your host, Laiba Khan, and we are back with another exciting episode. So, as we know, the digital twins are gaining prominence in today's technological landscape. And these virtual replicas or physical objects, systems, or environment are not just a buzzword. In fact, they are reshaping the industries and bringing a revolution in decision making in 21st century. So to know more about it and to discuss about digital twins and resilience, I have an exceptional guest with me. He is an entrepreneur, a tech enthusiast, and a digital twin specialist. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Adrian Merkel. How are you, Marco? Mr. Marco.
Hi, I'm very, very good. Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be invited to talk a little bit about what we're doing. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So let's just start with very basic introduction for those who doesn't know about digital twin, and for those who have not that in-depth knowledge about digital twins. So let's start with what exactly is a digital twin and how does it differ from traditional modeling and simulation methods?
Well, that's actually a very good question, and the question is getting better as we go along. A little while ago, they said fairly straightforward, a sort of a 3D replica or some sort of digital replica of a real-life object. That's how Wikipedia defines it, how others are defining it. But what we're seeing at the moment is digital twins are more and more becoming an absolute buzzword, with marketing coming into play. So anybody who has some sort of Excel file with a bunch of information on an asset, some sort of existing legacy system, they'll all be having digital twins. But from our point of view, in the end, it is some sort of digital model of either intended or an actual real world physical product, system, or even process that serves as an indistinguishable digital counterpart. So basically a full-blown digital copy of a real-world object. You also mentioned the topic of how it differs from traditional modeling or simulation. Well, it's two topics. The traditional modeling can form the base of such a twin, because when talking about especially the built world or something manufacturing side, some machine, or even whole shop floors, you will need some sort of 3D representation, which can be based on 3D modeling. Ourselves at Framence, we're basing that on photos, just like sort of Google Street View approach. So the 3D modeling can just form the basis of that. And of course, normal simulation method simulation comes on top of that, together with all other sort of process data, 3D information, manuals, videos, or what else you may have about that asset in question. So basically, a twin brings all that together to provide a digital environment in which you can work as if it was the real thing you're standing in front of.
Yeah, great. So let's talk about some historical context, for the development of digital twins. How did it come from? How it evolved over the years, and what was the historical context of digital twin?
Well, we actually go back quite a while. I once heard that it actually goes back even to the early 90s, where the first researchers had the sort of concept of digital replica in mind. Even ourselves, in a previous company, we did a 3D CAD software. We did it what you nowadays call a digital twin of a medieval church. That was sort of late 80s we started doing those things. And then it was a sort of a 3D walkthrough. But you could call that digital twin. But the real idea came up with John Vickers of NASA. He's accredited with bringing the real thing to life, having the real combination of 3D information and process data. That was, I think, around 2008 2008-ish, 9-ish, around that time, where those twins really started catching on. Then, of course, car manufacturers really started jumping onto that, or manufacture of complex equipment, of complex assets, cars, machinery, those kind of things, where they had the CAD drawing from production time, and they combine that with information from their from the life cycle, combine it with process information, combine that even with raw material information to bring all that together, so they could tell you exactly when that car was produced, using what raw material, where that was sourced from, and so on and so forth. And that has then sort of, we started doing that about 18, 19, where that sort of shifted over to the construction, more to the environment, more to the ecosystems, away from individual product, more to an entire process or an entire shop floor.
Wow. So as you mentioned that it's been shifting and evolving over the time. So what industries are successfully implementing digital twins? And what's
Um, what we're at least seeing is lots and lots are looking into those kind of topics. Initially, it was very much, as I said, manufacture of complex assets themselves, but that has shifted, not at least very, very much driven by COVID-19, towards owners, operators of technical infrastructures or sites, operators of those spread out sites who couldn't really travel. So we're talking in the end, oil and gas is a typical one, pharmaceuticals would be one, chemicals, of course, manufacturing, but also companies like utilities, public infrastructure, ports, airports, those kind of people, wastewater treatment, anybody with really complex assets that are located all over the place, and they need to keep them up and running pretty much at 100%. And they have the lack of having their engineers based in one location and the asset in a different location. That's nowadays mainly the operators or mainly the owners of those twins.
you are a digital twin specialist and you have been working for in this industry for years now. So what are your experience and your practices that you did to make a successful digital twin?
Take one step after the other. That's going to be the best advice. So start slow and easy, but aim high.
Mhm.
What we found is we often had customers who will then jump on the bandwagon and say, oh yeah, we're going to have a twin of our entire site. Yes, that's at least feasible, but that's nothing that's going to happen tomorrow. Suddenly you're blowing such a initially small project completely out of proportion. So the idea is, start with a twin, start with something that's critical. When you say, okay, I've got this project going on, I've got this refurbishment going on, I've got this project going on, how about to start with a twin with that project there? Or start where the risk is the highest. Where is it going to be the most expensive, the most critical if something goes wrong? Where are my critical assets, and start documenting them. We did a twin for an airport in their baggage handling system, because they knew if something went wrong there, that's their operations coming to a halt.
Wow.
So that's where you start with the critical infrastructure, where it's really tricky. And then from that, you can start learning, see what's important, what's not important, hook up the odd system, hook up your SAP, for example, or hook up that system, that process system, and start building that in a sort of on a smaller scale, but also in the back of your head, okay, I want to make that big. And what we found is when you start with such a small POC kind of environment, you'll instantly have other departments, other business units looking over your shoulder saying, oh, what are you guys doing there? Oh, that could be interesting for me as well. So that starts growing sort of naturally, without having to do too much convincing, without having to do too much change management. Because when you turn around, say, to go to large organizations, say, we're going to do a twin now, there'll be lots and lots of reluctance. And there's lots and lots and lots of fights you'll have to fight. So we said, start small, where it's not too much friction, and have it evolve naturally, and have the people jump on the bandwagon themselves. Let them join in by themselves. Say, okay, that's a good idea. We can use it for that use case. So that leaves you from having all those discussions. What's my use case? But I have something else. But how about the solution? How about that? Let them come up with the use case themselves and see how that evolves.
Yeah, so let's talk about future trends and innovations now. So, what trend or innovation about digital twin technology that we should be aware of?
Um, well, well, generally speaking, the twin technology in itself is new-ish, at least of what we're seeing at the moment. But again, there is a bunch of different trends coming up. One thing that's coming up, or that's jumping back and forward, is of course the whole topic of virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
Meta, the owner of Facebook, just launched their Meta Quest 3,
Mm-hmm.
which may be a game changer, because not having to look at the twin on your monitor, but having it on a headset, fully immersed in that. That's an interesting topic. We had
Yeah.
the odd use case for customers for marketing purposes, but it was lacking decent headsets for that. But of course,
Mm.
that could be something that's really playing into that idea. So to be fully immersed in your twin. AR, of course, is a second one. Sort of augmented reality, where we're superimposing the information you have in the twin onto the real life, sort of bringing your digital copy to reality, where your typical use case is maintenance, for example, where your technician or your engineer has all the information at hand when they're out on site by simply superimposing data they have. And of course, finally, AI, the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's going to be interesting how that's going to impact. We have
So
20 different ideas.
let's talk about a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence. So how it's gonna be, go with digital twins.
Um, I see a bunch of different use cases, or see a bunch of different approaches, of course, because AI is not AI, and there's lots of different approaches, lots of different use cases. Initially, to start small, we're using AI on a day-to-day basis when creating those twins. Uh,
Yeah.
of course, doing the calculation of those images from 2D to 3D, that's straight on mathematics. Uh, but of course, to find the photos, to recognize which photos belong to each other, find the same scenarios, that's image recognition, that's AI. So that's,
Is it making more easier the task that you've been
yeah,
like in the
it stabilizes that process. It stabilizes trying to find the images which belong to each other, how they interact, which image sees what image, those kind of
So
things.
does the quality gets affected or no?
The quality, robustness, as well as speed.
Mm.
That's a sort of topic that's really that where that those algorithms have an impact. From a user point of view,
Mm-hmm.
Um, a huge topic is to use AI to make something from those images or make more from those photos. So trying to replace that user to find information, have an AI look for assets, have an AI look for objects, topics of object recognition, trying to find certain valves in the photos, trying to find certain IDs, name tags you already have, and create those that know-how from the photos by simply saying, okay, AI, how about you look for my fire extinguisher, count my fire extinguisher, sort of trying to qualify as well as quantify information. That's something where AI, to be honest, is still fairly early days, because AI is still,
Emerging.
yeah, that was a nice way of putting it. Uh, there is some awesome applications, but there's still a bunch of shortfalls we're experiencing in day-to-day use. But of course, there's topics like detecting leakages or cracks in roads, those kind of things, trying to use AI to make more from the photos. And to sort of the most advanced one is, of course, using chatbots, using bots to extract information from the twin. So you don't have to look through the photos themselves, but you'd rather ask it, dear
Mm.
twin, how many fire extinguishers do I have? And that brings all those technologies together, the chatbot understanding what you want from it, the object recognition, knowing what you're actually looking for, and then image recognition to find those objects for you, and quantify them. That's a sort of
Wow.
how AI could come to play, making life easy.
Let's wrap it up with an advice. So, what advice would you give to organizations who are trying to adopt digital twins in their organizations and in their work process?
Uh, yes, as I said before, start slow, but do start.
Mm.
The twins, what we're seeing, twins make life quite a lot easier. They prepare you for things to come, for crisis to come, from shocks to come. Important, of course, is capture the most critical assets first, focus on the most critical things, uh, the ones that hurt you the most if things go wrong. Nobody
Mhm.
really cares if something goes wrong in an office building if you got a shop floor next to it where the band is, or the production line is just stopped. So focus on that. That's critical. As I said, I had a discussion with the customers that I'll just fly there. Yes, well, not anymore. But also, of course, it's not necessarily the time spent. It's also what we're experiencing quite a lot nowadays is workforce happiness, or staff happiness. A discussion with the customer was like, okay, he spent his days on a plane flying out to different sites, and he says it's fantastic. I can actually make sure everything is in good shape over in the site in China, but still go home at night back to my family and play with my kids. So
Yeah.
being able to combine those things by not wasting too much time on planes, on roads, in cars, just driving to, or moving to your site, but to do that sort of instantly. And that's something we're seeing apart from the crisis, trying to sort of onboard this infamous Generation Z, who sort of is more pushing towards, at least over here, towards more balanced work-life balance, where they want to be at home at night to spend time with their friends or with their families. And of course, the whole topic of ecology coming in, COP28 coming up in 8 weeks' time or so. We're talking about, do I really need to fly out? Is it worth my while? Why not tackle that with IT? But again, important point is you want to start now. You want to prepare for those kind of things to come, not to run the same problems as we did before a couple of years back.
Wow, that's a great advice. Thank you so much, Mr. Adrian, for today.
Thank
And
you.
I I'm very grateful that you has enriched our podcast. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you indeed. Thank you very much. Great
You're
being
welcome.
here.
Okay, let's wrap it up. I think that's it for today's episode. And I would like to thank Mr. Adrian for being an exceptional guest on our podcast. And to the viewers, thank you so much for joining today. And I hope you liked today's episode. And if you did, please let us know in the comment section. Also, you can find us on social media platforms. I will be adding the link to the description. And until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep making a difference in your own unique way. This is Laiba Khan signing off.